All right, guys, today I want to talk about why you should not be copying the Alcaraz forehand. Now, it works for him, obviously, pretty well, and if he came for a lesson, I wouldn't change it. But for a lot of people out there that are trying to hit with a straight arm, and this is the kind of forehand that Federer, Nadal, Alcaraz all have, so it kind of seems like it's the the kind of gold standard way of hitting a forehand, this straight arm forehand. But when a lot of people do it, they run into a lot of trouble. And partly because they get their arm a little bit too straight for too long. So obviously these guys are hitting with a straight arm most of the time at the point of contact, but they're actually keeping their arm pretty loose, pretty bent here, and it gets straight for a short period of time, and it's like slingshotting into the contact point. Again, with a lot of recreational players that have the straight arm forehand, it gets too straight for too long and it comes in and it's pretty stiff. Now, as I was researching this to make sure I'm not talking nonsense, I looked at Alcaraz, images, and there's a lot of images online that I'll probably flash on the screen here, where his arm's slightly bent at the point of contact. And I know from watching millions of videos of Roger Federer, he's hitting a lot of balls with a bent arm. So these guys have the ability to bend their arm when required, and that's going to allow them to make better adjustments and to deal with shots that aren't quite, in the right place. The other thing too is these people are brilliant at getting into the right place. So they're not out of position as much as the average tennis player. And they're also able to maneuver their body, so Alcaraz, for example, he's going to be super lively with the wrist and able to create lots of angles and be able to make lots of adjustments with his wrist, which again, the average tennis player is going to struggle to do that, and it's probably not going to be wise to have so much wrist movement. What you're better off doing is feeling like you can move the elbow here. So hitting from here or here and being able to make these adjustments by bending the elbow is so much easier than having to do it with your body or with the wrist. I think that's really difficult for the average tennis player. The other thing about the straight arm forehand is when you start playing shots so far away from your body, it's just difficult to control the ball. It's a lot easier if the ball is closer to you to have control. Now, this is the same for everyone, including the pros. If you watch Roger Federer hitting a return of serve, he's going to be relatively close. If he has an easy shot, he can stretch it out there and really accelerate. But again, the timing is tricky when you're so far away from your body. So I recommend for anyone that hits a forehand like this to practice hitting with a bent arm. Spend time on court trying to hit the ball closer to you and be able to maneuver this arm, because you will need this shot when you're playing. It's going to be almost impossible to hit every shot with a straight arm. And as I said, I experience this on court a lot with people who have straight arm forehands. It's just straight all the time and they can't make adjustments. It's also straight for too long through the shot, so it's a little bit slow and sluggish. So whip it, bounce it off a straight arm, don't lock anything out, and learn to play some shots with a bent arm, because it's really going to allow you to make better adjustments out here.